In 1943, a black woman with a mathematics degree walked into a government building in Hampton, Virginia. She wasn't allowed to use the same bathroom as her white coworkers. She wasn't allowed to eat in the same cafeteria. But she was required even to do math so precise, so flawless, that it would help send American planes into the sky, and later American astronauts into orbit. Her name was Dorothy Vaughan, and she is just one of dozens of black women whose calculations quite literally kept human beings alive at 17,000 miles per hour, are decades before most of America ever learned their names. To understand how remarkable this story is, you have to understand the world these women were stepping into. If you're new here, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. In 1935, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NASA's predecessor, known as NACA, began hiring women as human computers. Doing the complex mathematical calculations that engineers needed for aircraft design. It was considered tedious, detail-heavy work, exactly the kind of labor a male-dominated engineering culture didn't want to do itself, but was happy to take credit for. Then came World War II. With men shipped overseas and demand for aeronautical research exploding, NACA needed more computers than it could find. And in 1943, under pressure to fill the labor gap and comply with a federal order banning discrimination in defense-related hiring, Langley Research Center began recruiting black women mathematicians for the first time. But recruitment didn't mean integration. These women were placed in a segregated unit, the West Area Computing Section, with its own separate office, separate bathroom, and even a separate lesser table in the cafeteria marked colored. They were brilliant enough to calculate flight trajectories that could kill or save a pilot's life. They were not, in the eyes of Virginia law, equal enough to sit beside their white colleagues at lunch. Dorothy Vaughan arrived at Langley in 1943 with a mathematics degree and a sharp analytical mind. Within a few years, she was doing something no black woman had done at Langley before: leading. In 1949, Vaughan became the acting head of the West Area Computers, the first black supervisor at NACA, managing a team of black women mathematicians even as the facility around them remained segregated. She fought for her team's pay and promotions in a system built to overlook them entirely. But Vaughan's most remarkable move came later. When NASA began installing electronic computers in the late 1950s, the machines that would eventually replace human computers, altogether Vaughan saw the shift coming before almost anyone else. She taught herself, and then her entire team, the programming language Fortran, essentially reskilling an entire unit of black women mathematicians into some of the earliest computer programmers in the country. She didn't just survive the automation of her own job, she made sure her team commanded it. No name from this story is more widely known than Katherine Johnson's, and it's known for good reason. Johnson joined Langley's computing pool in 1953 and quickly proved so exceptional at analytic geometry that she was pulled from the segregated computing pool into the previously all-male, all-white Flight Research Division, an almost unheard of move at the time. Her calculations verified the trajectory for Alan Shepard's 1961 flight, the first American in space. But her most legendary moment came in 1962. Ahead of John Glenn's orbital mission, the flight meant to prove America could match the Soviet Union in the space race. NASA had begun using electronic computers to calculate Glenn's orbital path. Glenn, however, reportedly didn't fully trust the machines, and asked specifically that Katherine Johnson personally recheck the electronic computer's math by hand before he would agree to fly. She did. The mission succeeded. Glenn orbited the Earth 3 times and returned safely verified, at the astronaut's own request, by a black woman mathematician working in a still segregated facility in Virginia. Johnson would go on to calculate trajectories for the Apollo 11 moon landing as well, work that remained largely uncredited publicly for decades. Mary Jackson's path took the story somewhere no black woman at NASA had gone before. Jackson joined the West Area Computers in 1951, but soon moved into supersonic wind tunnel research. To advance further, she needed to complete graduate-level math and physics courses that, at the time, were only offered at a segregated all-white high school in Hampton. Jackson petitioned the city of Hampton for special permission to attend and won. In 1958, she completed the coursework and became NASA's first black female engineer. But Jackson didn't stop at her own achievement. Later in her career, she voluntarily stepped down from engineering to take a lower-paying position as Langley's Federal Women's Program Manager, specifically so she could work to identify and advance the careers of other women, black women, especially throughout NASA. She spent the rest of her career opening doors for the next generation, rather than only climbing through her own. Vaughan, Johnson, and Jackson are the names most people know now, largely thanks to Margot Lee Shetterly's book and the 2016 film that adapted it. But the West Area Computing Unit employed dozens of black women mathematicians across more than 2 decades, many of whose full stories remain unwritten. Women like Miriam Mann, who quietly removed the colored computer sign from the cafeteria table again and again, only for it to be replaced. Again and again, a small daily act of resistance that never made it into most history books. Women like Christine Darden, who joined Langley later, in 1967, and went on to become a leading expert in supersonic aircraft design and sonic boom research, eventually breaking through NASA's engineering ranks decades after Jackson had first cracked that ceiling. These weren't isolated exceptions. They were part of a sustained, decades-long presence of black women whose mathematical labor quietly underpins some of America's greatest technological achievements, while receiving a fraction of the recognition. The story of Hidden Figures is often told as a single satisfying triumph: 3 brilliant women, 1 movie, 1 moment of overdue recognition. But the real history is bigger than any one film can hold. It's a story of dozens of women, working for decades, whose brilliance carried American astronauts safely into space while they themselves weren't even guaranteed a seat at the lunch table. Their math didn't just get people to orbit. It quietly rewrote what was possible for every black woman in STEM who came after them. If you're new to our channel, this is exactly the kind of history we specialize in, the stories that get compressed into 1 movie, 1 paragraph, or 1 footnote when they deserve a whole series. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Drop a comment and let me know, which of these women's stories do you want a full deep dive episode on? I read every single comment. Thanks for watching.